In this video, I'm going to talk about how to organize and manage your projects, your clients for high productivity and output in your online business. It's Lockie here from Launch for Impact, where we help impact-driven coaches and course creators build automated online businesses so they can scale their influence, impact, and income without only relying on social media. Now, even though we obviously work with these clients, this video is going to be very relevant to anyone running an online business and just looking at how you can really manage things effectively, because without your ability to do this, you're not going to get much done within the business, and it's really going to inhibit your ability to grow, to really gain progress. So I'm just going to move this down here, show our cute little rocket here. So we've got a system in place that we follow to set up our projects, to manage all of our things that we need to do in the business. And this is exactly what we're going to talk about in this video. Now, I want to make a bit of a disclaimer here. This is always open to adaptation and improvement. Like this system that we've got in place that we're currently using was different 6 months ago, and it's going to be, slightly different 6 months ago, and it's going to be potentially slightly different in the next 6 months. That is because we're constantly assessing, improving, and adapting to it. We're looking at things that work, and this is basically a culmination of what we've figured out just works for us. So yours does not need to be this in depth. If you're just starting out, maybe it's not as necessary to do all of these steps within this system, or maybe it does work for you, but maybe you want to simplify it by maybe just adding, using Asana, some Google Docs and Sheets, and then blocking out your time in your calendar. So just keep this in mind as I'm walking through this. This is what we're implementing at the moment. So you can use and you can tweak it as you wish. You can simplify it to make it work for you. But this is really effective for us. So the first step is we create a master planning list, where it's just a sheet. And I'm going to show you each of the steps as we work through. But it's basically just a sheet where we add all of our projects, deliverables, all this stuff. It's a big overview where we can see everything in one place, because the only thing with Asana is sometimes things get scattered around. You can still add lists within Asana, but we've just found this to be effective for us. So first of all, we've got a sheet with our master planning list, which we use for prioritization and overall clarity, which, with everything we've got within our business. Then once we've got everything laid out in there, we then add it to Asana, adding more detail about the deliverable or the project that needs to be done, assignee, a date, and then we track progress. Communications around each of the projects, the tasks, are done in Asana. We also use Slack for quick communications, but when we're referring to projects, our communications are in there so we can see where it's at, what needs to be done, just for easy communication. We create docs and sheets in Google Drive and then sort of add them into the Asana project. This, obviously it's a lot easier just to sort of lay out some copy or, track some data in sheets than it is to add to Asana. So that's where these come into place. And we sort of always adding them into Asana. So basically all of these steps are linked together, even though sort of they are obviously separate. They're all linked together with relevant links, so you can easily go through it and see what you need to see in an efficient manner. Then once it's all set up, the project's set up, I'm going to do weekly planning at the start of each week, just to block out times. Now this varies from person to person. I'm going to show you how I do it and what works for me, and then you can sort of maybe get something from it and create your own little spin on it. Okay, and number 5 is we're constantly optimizing and adapting to find the best approach with what we're doing with this system. we're constantly optimizing, as mentioned in the start of the video. All right, so let's get into it. Starting out, we've got our master list. Now, I've just created some sheets here, some examples. This is an example. This is basically copy and pasted from what we use. And I've just added in some example projects and tasks for the sake of this video. And same with the Asana. These are all set up as examples to clearly show what we're talking about here. So this is where we lay it all out. So just to give you a quick description of this sheet, you can do something similar to this, or make it a little bit different if you choose. So we've got the week blocks on the left here. So the week scheduled, we've got this block here. Then we add in the project and then the task for the project. So this is an overview of it. And then we've got the sort of the team that's taking care of it and the assignee. So, we're still, even though we're mainly taking care of these things is in terms of the assignee and the due date in Asana also, we've also got it laid out here. So everything that we're working on is here and we can clearly see it. And we've got the color coding where we're prioritizing it. Obviously the red, hopefully you can see the writing here. The red in the background is urgent. So the upcoming is in the red, and then we've got the black. So we're adding the due dates, and we also add in days to actually do it. So when we're actually going to do the work, obviously it needs to be done before the date. Once we've set it up in Asana, we come into here and we add in the Asana task link. We also add any relevant copy docs. We look at the time we predict it's going to take, and then look at the total time taken, the outsourcing budget, invoice. So these are certain things that you can sort of take on and use where applicable for your business. But this is our master list. This is step one in our system of just laying everything out. So this, can become quite an extensive list once you fill everything out, but you can easily see everything that you need to work on. And then once you've got it there, I'm going to sort of use this as an example. We're going to move over to step 2 in this system where we add it into Asana. Now in Asana, this is basically the project management view that we've got with the Kanban. And also with all of these tools, these are all, I'm showing examples here on free plans. These are all free to use. So, obviously you can upgrade, but you can get by perfectly well enough with the free plans that they provide. So, and they're incredibly useful tools to manage your projects. All right. So we've got the example here. So we're creating a new lead magnet. So this is for my biz as an example, and I've just sort of quickly written in some descriptions here, because each time you've got a task in, you want to write in the objective or the goal. What is the outcome that you're creating with this task? Just so each time, whether it's you that comes in here or your team, every time they come into the Asana task, it's very clear on what you're doing, why you're doing it, what's needed, all of this sort of stuff. So it's just more in depth. We've got the list overview here, which covers that overview. And then we've got the breakdown. Okay, we're sort of actually managing the tasks, the deliverables to get them done. So we've got, as mentioned, the objective, a description. So we want to write copy for the lead magnet opt-in page, very basic for the example here. Needed, clear problem being solved in lead magnet, clarity on what they get once they opt in, etc. So whatever you need to get this done, then just keep moving this around. Then just add it in here, and obviously communications with your team about it, and you're assigning your team here and setting due dates. all this sort of stuff, ensuring that it's all aligned with this. And then once we come here, I can copy this task and I'm going to come over and I'm going to add it in to the master list. I'll just tweak that just so we can see it a little bit better. Got construction in the background. Hopefully you can't hear any noise. I apologize if you do. And that's basically it. So we've got a master list, we've added into Asana, we've added a clear description. And then, okay, what about actually writing the lead magnet? So this is where the step number 3 in this system comes in, of creating docs, sheets in Google Drive. And that's where you get the more in-depth information where needed. It's obviously not always needed, but it depends on the task. For an example like this, where we're creating a new lead magnet, obviously we need some copy for it. So this is where we store everything in our Google Drive. But to quickly create one as an example, doc.new automatically creates a new doc. So, all right, I'm going to come over to the master planning list. Accidentally copied that in. Usually that one's a little bit different, but keep moving along. So we've got the new lead magnet with your specific name, whatever it may be. I'm just going to add in the description, just whatever's relevant that you need to add in here. So we're nice and clear. Okay. Bang. So, and we can just come in and then write the copy. So we've got our doc here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over. I'm going to come back to the project management, the task in Asana, and I'm going to add it into the Asana project. So every time you come in, you've got all the relevant information that you need, that your team needs, just to ensure absolute clarity when putting things together. I mean, you can also add it into this master list. If you think, it's kind of double doing it, if you think this is effective, you can do this. But if you want to just simplify it, and, obviously you want to sort of keep it all in one place, that's kind of double doing it there. It's a bit of a little bit unnecessary, and don't want to sort of do too many things too many times. So it's up to you how you want to do it. I'm just giving you sort of a clear sort of framework in which to follow to really sort of try and get things done. So what we've done here is we've created the doc, we've added the copy into it, add it into Asana, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at basically how I set up and plan the week. So what I do is you can come into here, and actually also before I get to that, obviously we've got the new requests here. If we've got, if we're going to keep it in backlog, if we're not ready to implement it yet, we're going to prioritize this next. This is upcoming. And this is this Kanban view of how we sort of manage the projects. And the objective with this is to be simply moving tasks along to the right. So we've got the new requests here, new ideas in the start. We've moved it along, so it's prioritized next. Maybe we've got new client onboarding coming up. And then you can come in here and you can see what you've got to do. And you can go, all right, so I'm going to copy this task. I'm going to add it into my Google Calendar. So I'm going to save that. I'm going to come back in here and I'm going to copy the task link, and I'm also going to add it into the calendar. So simply in the description. So that's saved. So we've now got this blocked out. So this I also like to color code this. So this is just to easily show the importance of it. So what we've done here is we've listed it out. We've got it in the Asana project. We've got all the clear description of what's needed and sort of laid it all out, set it all up. And then when it comes to sort of planning it out, you can simply add it into your calendar of when you want to get it done. So with this, I'm going to go into a little bit more detail into sort of how I set up the Google Calendar, because it ties in. It's obviously this next step in the system, but blocking out time is absolutely critical to be able to move all these tasks, these projects along effectively, because we've taken time, we've planned it all out, we've set up the task, everything's nice and clear. Now we need to block out the time to actually do it, whether it's us that needs to do it or one of their team. So we're just going to come in now. All of what you can see in here, because this is for next week. Just showing you this as an example. But these are all the times that I've got blocked out. This is automatically added into my calendar each week. And then within these time periods is when I'm adding in the projects to get done. So I obviously like to sort of keep it quite structured in terms of my routine in the mornings, focusing on things that are really moving the sort of moving projects along towards the quarterly goals, basically what's really sort of going to bring us forward, and working on basically on the business as opposed to in it, because I've found it's quite an effective approach for myself, at least, to be focusing on working on the business first thing in the morning before all the messages and all those other distractions come in. I like to start a little bit earlier, so up to you what time you sort of do it, but keeping somewhat of a structure, because some people are like to have more structure, some people don't. It's entirely up to you. But this system really works for myself, for my team, to really get clear on what we need to do, why we're doing it, when we're doing it, just to ensure that we're moving the projects along and getting them done effectively. So we've blocked out some time here. And then obviously, I've got all the other things that have been scheduled in throughout the day. And each day, I'm sort of going through and also moving things around for whatever reason. This meeting might be shorter, for example. So move it shorter and then sort of move things around. But having a clear idea of the time, the times that you've got blocked out to get these deliverables done is incredibly important. So this might take an hour and a half, for example. I'm going to add that in here, a little bit of space in between, just to be able to sort of, get your things together and ready to focus on that task, and then just continually blocking things out accordingly. And keeping a structured approach really helps with this system, with being able to sort of move things along. So just having a look through, you can continually sort of add in, for the sake of this video and moving things along, like this is something that I can really go really in depth into each aspect of what we're talking about in this video. Creating the master list, using Asana effectively, and everything within this I can elaborate on, but I want to be respectful for your time and not go too far into a topic that isn't very sexy. So we'll keep moving it along. So once you've done all this, we've created a master list, we've set up our tasks and our projects that need to be done for the projects to move them along, whether it's, bringing in new clients, managing them, onboarding them, whatever it is. We're moving them along in Asana. So this one is now in progress. For example, it's Monday morning. I've just started this. Bang. Okay, I'm working on it. So, I'll just come back over to here. So as soon as you need to start, just come into that task and I'm clicking on this and it takes me directly to this. So, okay, perfect. I'm going to go, this is the objective description. All right, clear. Remember where it's at. And then I'm just going to bang straight into it. So that is more or less the overview of the approach. Now, something else that I wanted to go into detail about is some tips for ongoing optimization. And I'm not going to go into these in too much detail, but I'm just going to quickly touch on them, just to get, plant a few seeds of how to optimize your projects and your project management moving forward. So, tracking your time. Okay, that's some very effective use of grammar right there. So there's a couple of ways to do this. How I used to do this was I would, and it was quite manual and quite a manual approach to it. But now I sort of look to use Clockify, which is more easy. It's easier to automate, but I'd go through and, for example, you've laid it out in the sheet here of the time that anticipated to take, and then maybe this took a bit longer. So I'm just going to stretch it out. I actually ended up working on this till, say, 12:30, for example. So each time we're working on a task, and then this is new task, and we planned on this is green, so it's not as high a priority, and ended up working on this for an hour and a half as well. So at the end of the week, you can easily see when you're doing this, like after you finish the task or at the end of the day, you can adjust your blocks of time out to the actual time that you spent on each of them. So at the end of the week, what you can do is you can just go through your week, and you can see here, I've got time where I block out each Sunday to track hours and expenses, then optimize. So like the purpose of being able to track your time is you can't optimize anything without getting data on it. So when you can easily see, okay, I'm spending way too much time on this task, I need to improve on that, and then adapt and adjust it accordingly. So this just enables us to track the numbers on it to then further optimize. So at the end of the week, we've gone through the previous week and just added up all the hours here. So you can do this manually. I've got this tab here, which it's quite easy to do. Just add in an example. So we've got the new lead magnet. It was a high priority. I predicted, say, 3 hours, and it ended up spending 4, for example. So the difference in the time and the percentage of the time. So, if you're going to continue to add more hours in, you can see here, I'm just sort of adding up. It gives me the total amount of time each week that I'm spending and the percentage as well. So this is just something, it's a very sort of basic sheet that I've just quickly put together. It's, it is quite manual, and I know there's tools to be able to do this, which I actually use Clockify at the moment, which another free plan. But I love sheets, and I love having it right in front of me where I can go, okay, I've got all these tasks where I spend all this time on it. I'm spending, 20% of my time on something that's not really moving the needle forward in my business. So how can I improve this? How can I, potentially delegate, create a system, a process around it to move this forward much more effectively? And once you've got it all laid out in front of you here, it becomes easy to be able to further optimize how you're approaching, how you're managing your time, how you're scheduling out your week, all these sort of things. If you want to get really nerdy about it, this is something that I was also doing was my day-to-day tasks in terms of working out, lunch, dinner, all these sort of things, and just unaccounted for. And I was looking at them, adding them all up. How important are they? Time predicted, time spent, and then also just looking at that. So that's something, if you want to get really sort of nerdy about it. But it's interesting to do to see where you're really spending all your time to be able to further optimize it. So I'll just leave that there. And obviously you can sort of automate, you can use tools like Clockify, where you come in here and you simply add in the task that you're working on into the relevant project, and then bang, it automatically tracks your time. So there's different ways to track your time, however you decide to do it. I highly recommend it at some point. You don't want to be taking on too much in the beginning and trying to figure out too many different tools and too many different systems and processes at one time, because it becomes overwhelming. This is, an accumulation over the years of just sort of figuring out what works. Okay, I want to tweak this. I'm going to sort of track what I'm doing and figuring out what works for you. Also, keep a notebook open for quick notes. So that could be a physical notebook, which you used to use, or a digital one, which I just use Evernote. So you can see here, I also add in my daily deliverables there. We're okay, shooting the video, cross that out. I do this. I've found this effective, even though sort of it's doing, potentially the same thing twice, which is a suboptimal approach. But I've found myself often, like in the afternoons, I'm quite fatigued, for example. And when I've got this little checklist here, as well as this to follow, it just really was effective for me at times where, I was lacking energy, motivation, this sort of stuff. So just having this in place to follow it, and then sort of, I'm just copying this and then sort of pasting it in for the next day, and then following up, whatever I didn't get done today, I'll get done tomorrow. And it's this continual process to ensure that you're getting things done, because it's very easy to miss out, to skip things when you've got so many things on. And as online business owners, it's there's so many things that we need to be doing. So this is just something that an extra thing that I kind of do that helps me. Also, just come in here and add quick notes. So if there's something on my mind, I'm working on something and I think of something, it's always really handy just to have that in place to add some quick notes and then sort of revisit it later. Very, very effective little tip I've found. So making quick adjustment, adding changes to the calendar later. That's what you can do when using that. Also, with the weekly check-in meetings, what we do is, obviously we've got our sort of weekly team meeting here, where we'll sort of bring the team on and we'll chat about basically what is being effective in the previous week, what is not effective, so we can then optimize what we're doing. What is the progress on certain projects, certain deliverables? Okay, was it done? Why not? How can we potentially improve it? But having that weekly check-in is incredibly important. You can do it sort of as a team, one-on-ones, depends on the size of your business. If it gets bigger, it's better to sort of have those one-on-ones. but the more meetings you have, sort of the more sort of time is spent on it. So we try to really sort of optimize by communicating as much as possible within Asana, having the one team meeting where we can sort of communicate a bit of an overview and then go into more detail when we're not on the calls. So this is also another thing that's color coded. To be able to, for me to be able to clearly see what I'm working on. Okay, so we've got the team meeting here, and then I can, move it around and adjust as if needed. So team meetings are very, very effective and very important each week to be able to sort of help with that ongoing improvement as a company, from the tasks and deliverables with the team to the more managerial people within the company. You're looking at, okay, what are we doing as a company that we need to improve on, and what's being really effective that we can further focus on. So we've also got the weekly check-ins, and another tip is just using Slack for quick communications. Now, there's often misunderstandings around Asana and Slack, when to use which, but the most effective way that I've found to use Slack, and of course it depends on the size of your company. If there's only 2 of you, then it might not be necessary. But it's for quick communications, like you would use WhatsApp or something like that. And it really just helps for those quick communications. But anything relevant to moving projects forward is used in Asana. So you can keep track of the progress within the projects. So that is pretty much it. I've tried to move through things as quickly as possible while still adding a bit of value to you, and I hope this brought some clarity and you've got a few ideas of what you can potentially implement for your own business, just to really improve that output and move projects along as effectively as possible. Bringing in more, this allows you to bring in more clients and to really scale your business, because at the core of what we're doing in business, this is it. This is our ability to get more done in less time. So constantly having the approach of optimizing, improving, seeing what the holes in the bucket are, and then sort of looking to really sort of close them for that ongoing sustainable growth and to enjoy it. Because if we're not clear on everything that needs to be done, it becomes stressful, it becomes overwhelming. So having that clear system in place to manage your projects is incredibly important. I'm going to leave you with that. I hope you got some value from this, and leave any comments below with any comments, any improvements that you think could be made. I'm always open to improving in any way, but I hope you got some value from this, and take care of yourself, and I'll talk to you soon.